Hey, Mom says you have to let me borrow your new graphics card. Previously teased in fun/corporate cross-promotional PR just a few weeks ago, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 was officially revealed this week. Immediate side note, when I went to rewatch the trailer, I noticed this banner on Xbox's YouTube channel. It says Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, pre-order and play day one on Game Pass. Which would lead one to ask, why would I pre-order something that I'm going to eventually play day one on Game Pass? And I think what they mean here is the and is an option. You have the option to pre-order and you have the option to play day one on Game Pass. It could be or. The end of the trailer says or. But if this said pre-order or play day one on Game Pass, there's kind of no reason to pre-order. It's like saying you can go on a second date with me or take this $20,000 and walk away forever. They're going to take the money. Nobody wants to pre-order that bad. Really, though, this couldn't be simpler. The solution is obvious. Just make it a plus sign. What were they thinking? But I'd say when I watched that trailer, I had two main takeaways. First takeaway, the stop the music moment doesn't really hit. And when I say stop the music moment, I just mean that part of a trailer where the music's going great, right? We have a lot of momentum, but then suddenly, boom, stop the music. Big reveal. Whoa, they're doing what? Music kicks back in, title. Trailer's edited like you're supposed to throw your head back and say, well, oh, whoa, I can't believe they're going there. But I don't know, it just seems like another place. Anyway, it's kind of interesting that this collection of two classic games would be so proud to advertise new and legendary parks. And I think it has something to do with what they're doing with Tony Hawk 4. Here's what the Xbox website says. Drop into new parks or tear it up across the timeless parks from both Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. Authentically remade in jaw-dropping 4K resolution with streamlined goals and the epic 2-minute format. So Tony Hawk 4 back in the day tried out a new thing where you'd have more open area levels and you would skate around and pick up whatever little missions at your own leisure. Tony Hawk 3 and 4, I think to be a more cohesive package, has taken that fourth game and authentically streamlined it into the epic 2-minute format. Kotaku confirms that's what they're doing. So I wonder if including the water park in the same breath as explaining these changes is their way of saying, it's all good, all right? None of this is bad. We're not taking anything away. In fact, we're giving you more. We're giving you a water park. Yes, bring your swimsuit. And then the other big takeaway is obviously, woo, look at Doomslayer here. Not just a hidden character, mind you, but a digital deluxe incentive. To me, an indicator that the Doomslayer is teetering on the precipice of becoming a mascot. I do think it is less exciting in that he looks identical to his in-game character model from Doom Eternal. So does this Revenant. And sorry that the best shot I could find of that guy is from the Switch trailer. I think it's apparent to anyone, whether they're really thinking about it or not, that the specialness of a crossover is reduced when you're looking at a 3D model that has already existed before. It's like, big deal. You put Quagmire in Grand Theft Auto. You're not going to get a blog post about that anymore. We've seen it. I feel like the real magic, the real fun of a crossover event is when the guest character has to adhere to the host game's aesthetic. Recent example, Sub-Zero in Fortnite. He's both unmistakably Sub-Zero and unmistakably a Fortnite character. They really pulled this off. Least they could do here is give Doomslayer like a sideways hat. Maybe give this guy a shirt that says gnarly dude. Make him fit. And by the way, I don't believe these boards contain any original art. It's basically, we took some PNGs we had lying around from the last few Doom games and slapped them on some skateboards. Enjoy those. Those could have been cool. What I'm saying is maybe it would have been cool if they hired some unique artist to do Tony Hawk specific Doom original art for those boards. Kind of like what Fortnite does. I think the Unmaker hoverboard down here is pretty much a new asset. That's what the gun looks like. So there you go, that's a new thing. And I think a funny thing about this, just in case you are concerned that maybe you're plunking down $20 on a swap-a-roo of pre-existing assets, is that the bullet points for the Digital Deluxe Edition on the store page, in a very self-aware fashion, stress that each of those characters include 2 secret moves. To me, that is exactly technically enough to shield this from being a quick asset swap. The value is in that horn toot. Better show it twice. But also, take a look at that cover art for the Digital Deluxe Editions. You see what I'm saying? This is mascot status. You don't do this unless Doomslayer is huge. And by the way, if any of that footage was confusing, it's from a whole minute-long trailer just for the Digital Deluxe Edition of this game. And what this is, and why it is so funny that they do still advertise day one on Game Pass, is that they are also, at the same time, trying their best to discourage you from doing that. If you want to play as the Doomslayer, how about $20 on top of your regular subscription? If you want to play 3 whole days before day one, slip us an Andrew Jackson. If you want this wireframe Tony shader and access to the demo at some point, pre-purchase now. The message everyone is receiving is that while your $19.99 a month is really nice, it's simply not enough. You need to be doing better than that. However, let me be uncharacteristically fair to poor Xbox for just one moment. Back in 2020, back when Activision was its own publicly traded corporation, you did have to digitally pre-order Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 to access its demo as well. So some of this is really just Activision business inertia. We can't stop it now. So while it's fun to see Activision characters finally mix with Microsoft characters, it's also kind of fun to watch Activision business and marketing mix with Microsoft business and marketing. There is a Digital Deluxe Edition of Tony Hawk 1 and 2, which was a measly $10 extra, and included the Ripper, who is, I believe, an icon in skate culture. But, curiously, there are no trailers that end advertising this Digital Deluxe Edition. There's not even a single trailer that is only about the Digital Deluxe Edition. I mean, there are no promotional screenshots even. I had to pull this from the Tony Hawk wiki. He does look cool. It's at least an original character model. So it's hard to say if Tony Hawk, using its final dramatic seconds of its trailer to advertise ways that you can pay more now, is more of an Xbox influence or a Call of Duty influence. Or maybe that's just how you end your trailer if you're like a big shot game. But for Tony Hawk, it wasn't there 5 years ago and now it's here. But to be clear with you, I do think it is cool that this exists. Back in 2021, when Vicarious Visions got sucked up into Blizzard, it seemed like there would never be a Tony Hawk 3 and 4. So it is encouraging that Microsoft was able to justify publishing this game. Now, we just have to hope that nobody plays it day one on Game Pass. And that's Delayed Input. I'll be back next week. Thanks for watching. As the Doomslayer becomes an official mascot, I do feel like it's time to call out somebody who is definitely, certainly become a mascot. That's Astrobot. Just in July of last year, Sony put out that Game and Network Services segment presentation, right? They had this slide for exciting new releases and didn't even include Astrobot. He wasn't their guy yet. It wasn't worth mentioning to the investors. However, in November, after Astrobot sold 1.5 million copies in its first 9 weeks, Sony started to talk it up more. Look at this weird stat, by the way. 37% of people who bought Astrobot didn't buy any other first-party PlayStation title in the last 2 years. That is kind of crazy. But I feel like it's a couple of recent ads that have really solidified this. Astrobot's appearing in 2 ads co-starring Finn Wolfhard, who you might recognize as the guy who's got the Slimer subplot in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Yeah. A legitimate famous actor. Listen to how affectionately he talks to Astrobot.
All right, Astro, break's over.
Yeah, I think it's apparent that Astrobot is a good mascot, but what I also appreciate is the marketing team seems to realize and recognize that their more serious human face IP can be mascotified with Astrobot robots. Robot Joel and Ellie finding some big mushrooms and freaking out is actually incredibly funny to me. Last of Us is huge. It's a huge success. No one would argue that. However, some franchises just aren't cut out to become controllers. Meanwhile, Astrobot, practically born to become a controller. They should have just put a little beard on this. There you go, Last of Us.